Welcome back to Grow Your Own Vegetables, where a community of trusted teaching partners helps you grow real food in any space, in every season. What if you could grow a complete, protein-rich, nutrient-dense breakfast every single day for the rest of your life in your own backyard? Most of us still buy our breakfast from the grocery store. The truth is, there's one tiny backyard system that produces a near-perfect superfood day after day, year after year. What you're about to watch is a live talk given at one of our past Grow Your Own Vegetables events, recorded for gardeners just like you. Today's teacher is Marjorie Wildcraft, one of the most trusted voices in home food production, who has spent decades teaching families how to grow half their own food in their backyards. Today, Marjorie is sharing why eggs are nature's most complete superfood and exactly how to set up a tiny backyard egg factory that gives you fresh breakfast for life. Pour yourself some tea. Let's spend a little time together. For more information, free resources, and gentle guidance, you can find us at growyourownvegetables.org. And to grow alongside other gardeners just like you, join our free community at gyov.org. Settle in. You're going to enjoy this.
Hey, how are you doing? This is Marjorie Wildcraft, and I am going to talk today about the incredible edible egg. I'm going to show you just how unbelievably incredible an egg is, how much nutrition in it, how much power, rejuvenative force. We'll also talk about how you can have a little egg factory in your backyard where you can get free eggs for life. I've also got some free resources that I'll get you at the end. And we're just going to have a lot of a good time in this presentation. So let's get started. First of all, pop quiz. Okay, don't freak out. Don't freak out. Like, how can this presenter, it's the second slide. How could she have a pop quiz? I promise you, this is a really interesting question. So which part of the egg is the chicken? Is it the kind of clear, slimy stuff? Or is it the yolk, the egg yolk, which is basically kind of yellow, slimy stuff? Well, most people, and you put in the comments or, think about it, whatever, set your mind. Which one is it? Ready? It's actually a little bit of a trick question because it's actually neither the egg or the white, the clear or the yolk. It's actually the genetic material which comes from the cockerel. We'll all just agree to say rooster. Everybody's getting so politically correct these days. Anyway, the genetic material that comes from the rooster joins with the egg, and that little tiny spot there is actually what becomes the chicken. And what's really cool about it, the form of the chicken, of the form of the chick, is actually comes from the clear stuff, which is mostly just a form of protein and water. And this is what's amazing about the yolk, though. That yolk sac contains all the nutrition that is needed to turn that egg full of slime into a little chick that has beaks and claws and intestines and eyes and heart and feathers and all that stuff. So all of the minerals and vitamins and everything that's needed is in that yolk. It's incredibly powerful superfood. Here's another really cool thing. Now, I told you this is an incredible egg. We have just gotten into the incredible part. And if you've ever raised any of these guys, the chick has to peck its way out of the shell on its own. Its mama, the hen, doesn't do anything. I've actually heard if you tried to help them, then that chick will not become a viable bird. I've never done that experiment, but it kind of makes sense. So not only does it form itself in there, but then it has to have enough strength to peck its way out. And look at this guy coming out, and then it turns into this little fluffy, little adorable thing. But that's not where the amazingness stops. There's even more amazingness. So the chick will come with 3, sometimes even 4 days worth of food where it does not need to eat for the first couple of days of its life. It'll get out and be walking around, following the hen, doing whatever it needs to do, and it can not have to eat for a couple of days. In fact, you can buy, I used to do this pretty regularly, you can buy a box and they'll ship it to you and they'll send it to you in the post office, priority mail. I get the call in the morning, hey Marjorie, your chicks are here. You know, the post office is like, could you get these things out of here? Like, they're making this racket. So cute. Oh, the sounds are amazing. Anyway, you get them. And then, I mean, they ship them through the mail. This is the way you buy. This is a box of about 50 chicks. So, and you can think about the U.S. Postage Service, right? So these guys, a very good percentage of them actually make it through the mail. And then here they are, and as soon as you get them in, you got to get them adapted and fed and everything. I'm going to talk more about chicks and why you actually do not want to raise baby chicks. But I wanted to show you this process to show you just how incredible that egg yolk, what the nutrition, if you can imagine the nutrition in there, not only to build that whole bird, have it have the strength to peck out of its shell, and then live for a couple of days, survive the U.S. Post Office. That's incredible. And oh yeah. I'll take a dozen. Thank you. Anybody remember Rocky Balboa? Yeah. He was kind of famous in the fight scene there. He's always eating raw eggs. Actually, there are amazing stories of healings of people who have just ingested a lot of raw eggs. And it's such an amazing amount of life force in the egg. So we'll go over it for those of you that are like, they gotta have the data. So we just did all the cute pictures. Now we're gonna go for the people, the right brain, or is it the left brain, whatever side of your brain that has all the numbers and stuff. So a chick egg, average, this is like a medium-sized egg, has about 63 calories. And I want you to notice that 40% of those calories are fat. And I know there are people out there going, Marjorie, we don't want fat. We're fat-free. We're fat phobes. You know, I'm going to tell you what, you're going to get over that very, very soon. So this is the Superfood Summit. Where are we at? We're 2022, late spring, early summer. I promise you, by the end of the year, the calorie will be a unit of currency. We are headed into a very difficult time. Also, if you think about it, producing fat in your backyard is one of the most difficult things to do. Fat and protein you get to do a better job at, but fats are really, really hard. And you think about your vegetable garden, like what vegetables have a lot of fat in them? None of them, really. So having a source of fat and protein is also incredible. Now there's a zillion, gazillion other, and this is just one medium egg. So, if you've got a couple of eggs, you're getting a significant amount there. Whoop, goodness, selenium. Don't know what that's good for, but there's a lot of it there. Now, for those of you that are vegetarians, we get into hard times and it's hard to get your supplements. Eggs, a great source of, where is it here? Vitamin D, vitamin A. Oh, here it is. It's on the next slide. 9% vitamin B12. That's the element that's always so hard for vegetarians to get. So, just pop down an egg or two and be feeling better. B12, that's the shot that makes you get up and go. Okay, so let's talk about egg production for beginners. And I got a system. I'm going to show you how this goes. It's really easy. You're going to love it. Chickens and hens, amazing. First of all, here's the recipe. 6 laying hens and 1 rooster. We're going to get into why the rooster is optional. Definitely need a predator-safe coop and run. I'll show you about that. Fencing for yard access. And then chicken feed and watering systems and feeding system and a watering system. And we'll get into details on all of that. 1 laying hen produces about 250 eggs in a year. And that's a pretty dang good amount. Now, they do have to stop a little bit in the heat. It's called molting. They'll lose their feathers. They kind of gotta go through this period. Sometimes when it's really, really cold, production goes down. 250 eggs a year is a pretty dang good bit. So if you've got a flock of 6 laying hens, you're going to get about 1,500 eggs a year. And if you think about that, that is 3 egg omelets for breakfast every morning, plus 33 dozen eggs to trade, share, give away, take to the potluck. That is a lot of a food source from, and I'll show you the space requirements in just a sec. Let's go to calories. I know we're all calorie phobic. With one medium egg, 63 calories. By the way, I'm here in Puerto Rico, and it is hot today. I love it. 1,500 eggs, 94,500 calories. That's a pretty good chunk of calories. And when you're talking about growing food when it counts, when grocery stores are boarded up or that kind of thing happening, super, super good food source here. So this is a story about a rooster I had named Buddy. I don't think we're going to get into this story, but I do want to point out you do not need a rooster. And it is the hens will lay eggs without roosters just fine. They just won't be fertilized eggs. So you're not going to be able to raise them to chicks. You're not going to want to do that anyway. And I also want to point out that whenever you see a line drawing like this, it comes from a book I wrote. And we got a few line drawings in here. And this is the book. It's called The Grow System, The Essential Guide to Modern Self-Sufficiency from Growing Your Own Food to Making Medicine. And you've been thinking about writing a book, haven't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to tell you, we're going to deviate for just a second. As soon as you write a book, I'm going to tell you what you're going to be doing from that moment onward until the rest of your life, right? And this is regardless. So mine was published by Penguin Random House. It's self-published no matter what. This is exactly what you're going to be doing. You're going to be going, hey, go to Amazon, buy my book, give me a 5-star review. That's what you're going to be doing, even if you got a big publisher. So you're going to always be trying to promote your book. All right, well, back on topic. Why 6 hens? Why 6? Okay, so I'm really targeting this toward the beginner, right? You're just getting started. Let's make life super easy for you. First of all, they're flocking creatures, and they depend on each other for security. So if you watch your hens, even if they're in a coop, and they're kind of pecking the ground and looking around, they'll often have their head, 5 of them will have their head down, and one will be kind of looking around, checking out for predator. Everybody likes to eat chicken. I mean, there's going to be predators. Like, let's not kid ourselves, right? Everybody likes to eat chicken. And they kind of, in the flock, they kind of rotate that duty out. And so if you have, 1 in 6, it's not bad. You're on duty for what, 15% of the time? If it's just 2 birds and you're on guard duty 50% of the time, 1 bird alone is going to be friggin' neurotic. It's unbelievably cruel. So 6 is a good amount to get started. They feel comfortable with each other. You don't want to go overdoing it, right? You're starting, you're beginning. There's probably going to be some failures. And 6 is a good amount. I'll show you the space requirements here. It's just 1,500 eggs. Like, that's a decent amount of food, right? By the way, do not raise your first set of hens from baby chicks. Oh, it's so romantic, right? It's so cute. They're adorable. This was a group I had raised. I've done it many times. We used to raise a flock of chickens for meat. I don't also recommend chickens for meat just because they require so much grain, and it's going to be really hard to get grain in the future. But don't raise them. It requires, first of all, it takes about 5 to 6 months for a hen to get up to laying age. And that's a good thing to know when you're going to buy hens. You want, 5 or 6 month old hens. The other thing is it takes a totally different set of skills and equipment to raise baby chicks up to hens. So you don't have 5 months. And it's a different process. Now, that's not to say that once you get good at this, I do know some people, there's a wonderful little side business where they do raise a bunch of baby chicks and sell the laying hens on Craigslist and that kind of thing. And it's a great little side gig, but don't start out that way. Okay, so how much space are you going to need for this backyard flock of hens? So a chicken coop and a run basically fits into a parking spot. It's about 8 feet by 16 feet. And this is here, I'm going to get you a bigger diagram of this. You basically have this coop that you close them in at night. Hopefully you've got an electric door that will shut it based on the sunrise and sunset. And then, of course, you got this little run area. And what is really awesome is if you can get some other like electric fencing, you can let them run around the yard from time to time and let them out of that coop and run. But this is a very comfortable situation for a group of 6 hens. It's a very nice, humane amount of space for them, and they get outside and have a good time. By the way, pick your hens up from Craigslist is great. The local farm stores are wonderful. If you hear a rooster crowing, go find out who has that rooster and talk to them about buying some hens. Okay, I want to let you know that you will lose chickens. Okay, let's just prepare yourself emotionally. It just happens to everybody, no matter how much experience you have. Those predators have every night, all night, to find holes in your coop design. There may be some day when you accidentally left something unlatched. It's just going to happen. So brace yourself for that. Get over it. Replace what you need to. Move on. Go at it again. It's the same with gardening. You never get everything, right? Here's a story of this is a little movable chicken. We call it a chicken tractor that I had built. And we just have like we'd have about the 6 hens in there. We'd put them in there and we'd move it around. And a new neighbor, I was living in Central Texas, and a new neighbor moved in and had a game camera on this. And these dogs actually did not hurt any of the hens. But they had the potential to do damage. Now, living in Central Texas, if you live in rural areas and a dog comes on your property and even does something like this, you have every right to shoot those dogs dead. I mean, that is just the culture of rural Texas. I did not do that. I actually made a copy of this picture, wrote a nice letter, put it on the doorstep of, I knew who the people were. They just moved in, and just said, hey, your dogs look like really nice dogs. Take care of them. Don't let them do this. We never had a problem after that. Okay, so feeding chickens. Let's get into feeding chickens. First of all, to set your expectation, you absolutely can come up with 100% of the chicken feed for free. There are ways to do it, because basically, when the grocery stores close, the feed stores are going to close, right? Or feed is going up. I don't know if you guys have seen the price of corn and soy and stuff. It's going up, right? So where you source your feed, but right now it's still cheap. So, and you have so much to learn, right? You got to build the coop. You're going to get those hens. You got to get them settled in. You got to get into the rhythm of paying attention to them and the water. You got a lot to learn. Don't add the work of trying to figure out how to feed them at first. Just go buy some commercial chicken feed to start. Let's make that one part of this as easy as possible. I really recommend the non-GMO, non-soy is the best. I mean, the organic stuff, super expensive. And then, of course, the super cheap stuff is the GMO. You don't want to feed that to your chickens. There's a whole reason you're growing your own food, and it's because you don't want GMO stuff, right? Most of the non-GMO, non-soy farmers actually are using organic practices, and generally it's going to be a high-quality grain. Joel Salatin says one of the 10 most useless things that a farmer can do is get USDA certification, organic certification. So, I go for non-GMO, non-soy, and then of course you're going to want to let them out in the yard and get fresh greens and insects and stuff and supplement it. That's the way to get started. And definitely at the end of the presentation, I'll show you how I can get you that video on how to get 100% of your chicken feed for free. Watering system. You always want to have redundant watering systems. For whatever reason, I've been living in desert areas for the past 25 years homesteading. But even if you don't, you just got to make, anytime you stress your birds, you're going to lose egg production. And you definitely don't want to stress them by being thirsty. Super easy to construct these things. I'm going to show you a couple of them right here. So this was when I had a free-range flock of chickens. I do not recommend free-range chickens for beginners. So that's why we go to the coop and run. But what you'll see here is a 55-gallon drum. It's that blue thing. There's a hose, a gravity fed, goes to a waterer here. That's just a float valve in a little tub. And it's a really simple system. That way you fill up that 55-gallon drum. It has a lid on the top of it so things can't get in there, and just works great. And then here is the redundant system. It's a small 5-gallon version of it. It's just gravity fed. I made the water part just out of a piece of PVC pipe that I cut open. The float valves for this, there are float valves in the back of every toilet. So there's going to always be plenty of float valves around. One more thing while we're on this slide, I want to point out this metal garbage can is a great way to store feed. And don't just leave that feed in the bag somewhere because, yeah, I've done that. I had a explosion of a rat population. Oh my goodness. Yep, was bad. Well, I practiced and learned how to do a figure 4 trap, and I got a lot of them, but deadfall traps. But you don't want to have that experience. Get a metal garbage can. They're great, and you can store that stuff, and things are not going to be able to get in there. All right, so lots of things you can do with eggs. That top slide there, over easy on top of greens. It's like my breakfast almost every morning. You can have fresh greens no matter where you live on this planet. You can have fresh greens all year long, and you can mostly have eggs all year long. Like I said, the production does drop in the winter, but quiche, hard-boiled eggs. I have never been to a potluck where there were deviled eggs left over. Okay, those are always gone, so you'll be super popular. Yes, you can do this in the north. I did this this is a shot I took of a friend's operation. This guy is outside of Salt Lake City, Utah. This was December. Production does go down in the winter for chickens, and actually the chickens are natively jungle fowl, and they love insects and they love greens. And the further you get away from the tropics and the jungle, the more you have to work to support them. And actually, I recommend ducks if you're going to live farther north. Very similar in terms of the numbers. Actually, they're a little bit better prolific layers, although they eat a little bit more. But it's the same concept, same idea of everything that I'm producing here. So ducks or chickens, you can do this everywhere. So I also want to throw in this slide because your health and your life really depends on backyard food production. I just love this chart. Okay, I'm a little bit of a chart geek. I'm sorry. But this was August Dunning, a really, really brilliant guy. He's in his 70s, and I mean, he is fit, healthy, a real example of what we all want to be when we're in those decades. And basically, you can see that the nutritional levels in the food supply have been dropping over the decades, and surprise, the amount of disease has been escalating. And you're wondering why. Well, we got centenarians. You'll hear people go, well, my mom lived in 90. My mom lived in 93 because her body was being built, in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, when there was still a lot of nutrition in the food supply, right? I don't know what the kids that are being born today have a chance of. Not much, honestly, unless they got their mama growing their own food for them. It's a super important chart. And it's, grow your own food. Your health will absolutely rebound. I want to point out that no refrigeration or electricity is needed when you have your backyard flock of hens. There are many, many places I've been to around the world. I think the United States is the only place that refrigerates eggs. It's really crazy. So I have taught this to kids. I've taught this to elders. And to be honest with you, I knew nothing about this when I started, so I taught myself. And I'll deviate into my background here for just a minute. And a lot of people are kind of curious, like who is that Marjorie Wildcraft woman anyway? So no, I was not a hippie child growing up in a commune. My first degree, oh my God, look at me. So many years ago, I was a electrical engineer and worked my way up in Motorola, and I was an engineering manager based in Hong Kong. Loved it. And one day somebody said, hey, Marjorie, you interested in money? There's this really interesting class taught by this guy named Robert. It's all about money. And I said, really? It's all about money? And they said, yeah. And I said, who's the Robert guy? And they said, oh, we don't know. No, nobody knows nothing about him. And I said, well, I'll go anyway. Well, that class was incredible. And I learned so much about money. I ended up leaving engineering, and I started a very successful real estate investment business in Austin, Texas. And actually, that business was so successful that Robert came back to me and said, hey, would you be a lead testimonial on my infomercials? His name was Robert Kiyosaki. So for 4 years, I was on infomercials day and night, selling Rich Dad, Poor Dad products. But then one day, oh yeah, by the way, I saw Robert a few months ago. Here he is. I was volunteering on a project to get food. This is how I started growing food. I started volunteering on a project to get locally grown food into the elementary school, and that project was a complete failure. And my life changed because I realized there were not enough local organic farmers to provide even part of the vegetables for one small rural elementary school. And I thought, oh my God, if anything ever happens to that just-in-time trucking system, I'm in Central Texas surrounded by 20 million people. That's 60 million meals a day. We only have 4 days worth of food supply. Oh my God. So I sold the real estate business and I said, I have got to figure out how to grow food and I got to teach other people. So that's why I'm here today talking to you. Yep. There we go. There's the buff Marjorie in the grid down situation growing food. I did learn how to grow a lot, started teaching a lot. My daughter and I homeschooled, she used to go to meet all these prepper festivals. I ended up building a team of people. This is the Grow Network staff. We got a blog, we got a store and all this kind of stuff. By the way, I am going to get to those free resources in just a second. And by the way, the forums, if you have any question at all about eggs that I haven't answered here, head over to the forums. And if you just type in @Marjorie Wildcraft, I don't see my name on here anywhere. Just type in @Marjorie Wildcraft. You can reach me directly, or we have 7 moderators and 100 street team members that are all volunteers that are super experienced homesteaders, and they can answer any question you have about eggs, about chickens, about all kinds of stuff way beyond that. Oh my God, tons and tons of media and publicity. Oh, here's that book again. Damn, I didn't mean to. Sorry about that. Shh, shouldn't be cussing. Okay. Let's talk about the compatibility of chickens and gardens, right? So I know you've got a garden. You're at the Superfood Summit. You've probably been watching a few of these over the years. You got a great garden going. They're not. Chickens and gardens are not compatible, except I got 2 exceptions for you. One is during the change of the season, I will use them to clean up and do a little bit of a light tilling. So I let them run loose in the garden, leave them in there for maybe the day, a few hours. They'll eat up all the greens, they'll eat up all the bugs, they scratch around, maybe do a little pooping. And it's great when you're rotating between seasons to let them in there and have at it. And they love it. It's something great for them. It's a different thing. The other thing is, and I don't have an actual real good picture of it. One time and I'll give you this example. One time I had this really great patch of sweet potatoes, and they had this little crazy looking little beetle all over them. It's actually it looked like the beetle looked like it had chrome on it. And I was thinking, well, first of all, I just want to get rid of it. So what I did was I let the chickens in there, and chickens will prefer insects over plants. And so I'm in there with the chickens, and they just headed right for those sweet potato plants. They headed right for those beetles. They ate up all the beetles in about 15 minutes. And then when they started heading over to my other plants, that's when I kicked the chickens out and got them out of the garden. But they did a great job wiping out those insects. Later on, I kind of regretted it because I was like, I think those beetles might have been from outer space. I have never seen a beetle like that since. I should have saved some. But I was more interested in my sweet potatoes. Anyway, and then of course, as you know, you're a gardener, right? And you know that the thing to do then is if you got a problem with an insect outbreak, the thing to do is give your soil a good drench with something like I gave it a really good seaweed drench and then also a nice foliar spray. Never had an insect problem after that. So I use the chickens as a fix it up like I need help right now. I hear you can use children to do that sometimes, but I think the price has gone up from 1 cent a bug to $0.25 a bug or something. So with inflation, it's getting exorbitant. But just want to say what a pleasure it has been to spend time with you. I want to know you and be in relationship with you because you're ahead of the curve and we're headed into some really big changes. And someone like you is got a really, really, you're a forward-thinking person that I want to know about. So go get some chickens, have a great time, come visit me in the forums at marjoriewildcraft.com, and let's stay in touch.
If today's video helped, we'd love to invite you to something special. Every year, Grow Your Own Vegetables hosts the free Superfood Garden Summit, where dozens of gardening teachers share more videos just like the one you watched today, helping you grow healthier, more abundant food at home. Whether you join us live or watch the replay, grab your free ticket at the link in the description below. Thank you for spending this time with us.